And welcome to the LC podcast, where we share the stories of lung cancer patients and their caregivers, as well as the work of doctors and researchers in the field. Today, we have the great honor and privilege of having Jack Owens with us. This is part two of a two-part mini-series where we will speak with Jack Owens and his uncle in our past episode, John Matthews, about their stories. Jack Owens is a rising junior at the University of Notre Dame and is originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He is studying business analytics, finance, and computing and digital technologies and serves as the Vice President of Business Development for the Jubilee Initiative for Financial Inclusion, a student-run nonprofit focused on economic justice. Jack has been a dedicated supporter of Ride Hard, Breathe Easy since 2017, playing a key role in communications with partners, sponsors, and donors. He just finished his Ride Across America, a 3,600-mile journey in memory of his grandmother, raising funds and awareness for lung cancer patients and their families. Each day of the ride is dedicated to someone impacted by the disease, making the journey deeply personal and purposeful. Jack, we are so honored to have you on our podcast today. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to, be on.
Amazing. To introduce the moderators today, my name is Sam Schwartz.
I'm Pranav Mandyam.
I'm Jacob Rashap.
And I'm Priyanka Senthil, and we're with the American Lung Cancer Screening Initiative, a national 501(c)(3) nonprofit working to raise awareness of lung cancer and lung cancer screening. Jack, to start us off today, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you for the beautiful introduction, Sam, that you gave earlier. I'm a rising junior at the University of Notre Dame, and something that's been important to me for almost a decade now is my work for Ride Hard, Breathe Easy, which obviously, as you guys know, is an organization that helps lung cancer patients and their families.
Awesome. And just next question is why did you get involved in lung cancer advocacy, and especially with Ride Hard, Breathe Easy?
As a lot of the listeners may have learned last episode, my uncle started the organization in 2017 when he decided to bike across the country for my grandmother who passed away in 2011. From that point on, I was involved in a minor role in the organization, helping as I could, similar to a lot of my other family members. But as I started to get involved and really learned how lung cancer affected so many people, it led to me wanting to become even more involved and wanting to up my efforts. And that kind of continued over the years, and here we are today.
Yeah, so that's great hearing about how you got involved in the organization, but I guess we just want to hear, what specifically motivated you to get involved with this bike ride and taking on just this massive challenge?
Yeah, the biking was something that I knew I always wanted to do once I watched my uncle do it in 2017. And I always, as weird as it sounds, it was always something in the back of my mind, like, oh yeah, I'll bike across the country for lung cancer patients like later in life, like not right now. And then it occurred to me one day, like, what am I waiting for? I mean, this is something that meant a lot to me and something that I knew I wanted to do in my life. And I thought rather than wait for the perfect opportunity to arise, which it likely never would, I might as well make that opportunity for myself. I went to my uncle and to my parents, and they were beyond supportive throughout the entire process in helping me do something that they knew was really important to me.
I'm so glad to hear you took that initiative for yourself. I mean, especially from such a young age, to be able to make such a large decision like that, it's incredible. And I mentioned the last podcast, I think we're about the same age. If you don't mind, before I get to the next question, how old are you?
I'm 20 right now, 20 years old.
So actually, I turn 20 in about a month. So I mean 19 right now. I couldn't even imagine doing something that you just did. It's absolutely incredible. As a peer, someone your age, I mean, I just can't give you enough compliments on how incredible that journey was. And I'm sure you've learned so much about yourself. And your uncle mentioned the last podcast about doing advocacy and getting out there is so wonderful, and you learn truly so much about yourself. And I'm sure you do, and I'm sure I hope that you use this experience with you in the future. So to get into that ride a little bit more, would you mind telling us a little bit about like what that ride was like? Do you have any favorite moments? Do you have some difficult moments? Do you have anything that maybe would be different the second time going around if you could again?
Yeah, there's definitely a couple of highlights that stand out. the first thing that comes to mind as far as favorite moments go is riding through Indiana just by myself over 100 miles on the day, or around 100 miles. And I finished the day by rolling into Notre Dame. And that was definitely one of the highlights of the ride. I look back and it was the first I'd experienced any sense of familiarity, and there's a level of comfort that comes with that that I hadn't really seen since the middle of May when I started the ride. And it was just a special moment. One of the further rides that I did and ending in such a special way meant the world to me. So that's the first highlight that always comes to mind. And then as far as lowlights go, there's tough moments here and there. The rough ones that come up are like the weather, but at the same time, when we got caught in a couple of hailstorms in Kansas and Colorado for 5, 10 minutes at a time, and it's miserable for a little bit, but you know it's going to pass, and you know that you're surrounded by so many people that are going to help you through it. And if that's the worst of a low light that we're going to get, then I was never worried that, the trip was in jeopardy, knowing that the people around me were more than capable of helping me through any of that.
That's amazing, Jack. I know that riding across the country is such an enormous feat, and we got to hear from your uncle about some of the, not just physical, but also mental and emotional challenges that come with the journey. So I wanted to ask, is there any advice you would go back and give yourself before you got started on the ride, on either the physical aspects, emotional, mental aspects? Because I know, students our age are going through, so much and similar challenges. So just wanted to ask how you approach that.
I think that the one thing I would really try to hammer home to myself early on, it was just to make sure I ask people for their advice and help. It's something that I think I did so well, and it benefited me so much because there's just countless people, whether it be from Notre Dame or my high school, St. Joe's Prep, or local Philadelphia area, lung cancer communities. So many people gave me outstanding advice. But I think that if I knew that from the very, very start, or rather, I was more willing to take initiative to go out and find those people from the very start, then I could have gotten even more of a jump start on making those connections and taking their advice. And people were amazing, and I couldn't have done it without their help.
Awesome. So last episode, we had asked your uncle about how he felt riding with you, but we also want to ask you how you felt and what it was like for you to ride with your uncle for the first 13 days of your ride.
I think that the biggest emotion that comes back is the sense of reassurance I had when I was with him. We had been working together to build this blueprint and plan for months, almost a year at this point, to make sure that everything went perfectly or as near to perfect as it could have gone. And then you get out on the open road, and if it were just me, I think I still would have felt lost. But having him there and having known that he went through that, there was also a sense of comfort, and just knowing that if something goes wrong, while I might think I might know how to tackle it, I know that he can. So he was always the perfect guidance for me, which is beyond helpful.
Yeah, so a question I wanted to ask, sort of going off of that, is obviously the bike ride itself seems like a very tough, a very arduous process, but I'm sure the actual planning of the ride, including finding a route, finding all those little details that you need, having them planned out, I'm sure that was also a pretty long process that required a lot of effort. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like, how early in advance you started planning it, and just how much work that required?
Yeah, so the original idea for the ride really came to my mind in September of 2023. It didn't start to take off until a couple months after that. And I would say that the bigger planning pieces didn't really start until the following September or even fall. And that's where all of those people that I mentioned earlier really stepped up and helped me in ways beyond what I can even describe. And my uncle Jack was also instrumental in making sure that not only did he help me so much on his own, but he helped me find people who were willing to help in complete work that I couldn't do. I didn't have the expertise to do and that sort of thing. So we were building out teams of different people that could complete different tasks. And honestly, that part was an even bigger effort than the bike ride itself, just because there was so much planning that went into that to make sure that if anything came up on the bike ride, it would be an issue to solve.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it sounds like it required so much work, but it's great to hear just all the collaboration that went into it. And again, just how many people were willing to help you along the journey. But yeah, I guess kind of switching gears. So something that I know a lot of us LC members have heard is that, when people see us out in the community, they say, oh, we don't generally see, people your age, younger people going out and raising awareness for lung cancer. So, you yourself, again, being someone who is 20 years old, why do you think it's so important for people of all ages to get involved in lung cancer advocacy?
I think that my story is the perfect example of why it's important to get involved early. I mean, I talked about how I was involved in 2017, and I was involved at a pretty small scale. But fast forward a couple of years, it has become something that I really, really care about, and I want to up my efforts as much as I can. If I never got involved earlier in life when I was even younger, then I never would be here right now. So I think it's a purpose that I'm so glad it almost fell into my lap as something before I was able to make it my own and something that truly meant much to me.
To double back on that as well, and something that you said earlier about like the preparation phase, I'm just curious with your work at school, you're involved in an organization at school. What were some of your peers and friends? What were some of their reactions when you told them you're gonna do something like this? Did any of them were like, did anyone offer or volunteer, like help out? Was anyone just kind of awestruck about what you were about to do?
Yeah, I'm lucky to have some amazing peers and friends who a lot of the time had similar reactions, initially saying like, wow, that's so cool. And then it would shift into something of like, how can I help? And then they would start to think about it and be like, I don't know much about biking. I don't know how I can help. And I'd be like, I'm in the same boat. Don't worry. Um, but people were just so supportive the entire time, whether or not they were involved in the planning and the logistics and that sort of thing. There were so many different ways in which I couldn't have done it without them, just because of the support that they would text me, send me pictures and videos of them at home while I was here, and just other ways of keeping me in their lives despite being on the road, which is something I really needed at the time.
I'm so glad you had that. That's such a strong group of friends. I mean, I'm sure you know this, but those are the friends that that will stick around for forever. If they're supporting you now, supporting you in this incredible moment, those are the ones who are the closest to you. And so on the topic of kind of your friends helping out in that way, they're also in a sense helping Ride Hard, Breathe Easy and push the message and advocating for lung cancer awareness. What do you think that young people can do to raise awareness of lung cancer and lung cancer screening out there?
I think a big part of it is to end the stigma, and just how much smoking is associated with lung cancer, because I think that another thing is that most people don't realize how prevalent lung cancer is. It's the leading cancer killer among every demographic in every state in the country. And just thinking about that is a little bit staggering from a statistical standpoint, but something you would never know if I hadn't told you, sort of thing, or if it wasn't told to me, I would never know that. And it should be obvious. If it's that deadly for our community, it's kind of crazy that most people don't know that. So yeah, I think that it's just really important for news like this to spread around, and something that people of all ages, especially young people, should be considerate of.
Absolutely. And Jack, you just recently finished your ride across the country this year. And so I'm sure you're taking some well-deserved rest and catching up with family and friends. But we just wanted to end the podcast by asking, what are you looking forward to in the future, and maybe in the next 3, 6 months or a year?
Yeah, a lot of people have asked me what the next steps are in my biking career. And to be honest, I'm not too sure how my biking career is going to take off from here. But what I do care a lot more about is where I go from here in terms of helping Ride Hard Breathe Easy grow, and making sure lung cancer patients and their families can be supported and taken care of in ways that they're otherwise not able to. Even on the ride, while I was going across states, I was privileged enough to go through Ohio State Comprehensive Care Center and a couple of hospitals more local to me in the Philadelphia area, and meet some researchers, some doctors, patients, all that sort of thing, And their stories continue to inspire me to this day, and I look forward to working with them to support more in the future.
Awesome. It has truly been like so rewarding speaking with you, Jack, and hearing about the experiences in advocacy and in taking this incredible journey across the US. We appreciate all the work that you're doing and all the attention you've helped bring to this initiative. And thank you to our listeners for joining us on this episode of the Aussie podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Please keep an eye out for our upcoming podcasts and events, which will be posted on our website, www.aussie.org. Thank you and have a great day.